Clock on the wall says it's 7 o'clock, so I'd like to call the room to order for the Planning and Zoning Appeals Commission meeting of Greenbrier, Tennessee for the July the 14th, 2020 meeting. There are no citizens available tonight. I do understand that there is some printed documentation that will be read at a later time concerning some of the items that are on our agenda. So we'll ask to call the roll, please.
Bass.
Here.
Mayor Dawson.
Here.
Higdon.
Here.
Love.
Here.
Saria.
Here.
Moran.
Here.
Stroud.
Here.
We need a motion to adopt our agenda.
So move.
Have a motion to approve. Need a second?
Second.
We have a second. Call the roll, please.
Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Higdon.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Saria.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Stroud.
Yes.
Motion passed. We have a approval of your minutes of July the 14th, 2020. I trust that everyone has had opportunity to look at those. Are there any questions or any corrections or deletions that anyone might ask to be made?
Move for approval.
We have an approval. I need a second. Do I hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. Call the roll, please.
Higdon.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Saria.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Stroud.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Item 6 on our agenda is the old business. There was a variance request for the rear setback for 2083 Highway 41 South, that is KNS Market. This was passed from last month's meeting to this month's meeting. You have the notes in front of you from Mr. West about the request. It appears that he is requesting approximately a 23-foot variance so that he can restruct or add a cooling system to his existing building. And what that does is put him within, correct me if I'm wrong, Alex, but that puts him within about 6 feet of the property line.
Yes.
That is not anywhere close to what our setbacks are. His setback should be at least 30 feet. So you guys and I have had opportunity for the last month to consider this. So we need a motion to either approve the request or deny the request. Do I hear a motion?
Move for approval.
We have a move to approve a variance of 23 feet. Do I hear a second?
Well, that's
We need a second. Or deny for us a motion. I mean, like I said.
I'll second it for the sake of discussion.
Okay, we have a second. Floor is now open for discussion.
I want to read this letter to you guys from the store owner, Jay Patel. It says, "To whom it may concern, when the store was built 30 to 35 years ago, the original owners did not create enough storage space. There's only one storage space outside the store, but it's very inconvenient in the summer and winter. The bottles either get too hot or freeze and break. Therefore, I am requesting permission to create an extension to the current cooler for these extra drinks. I am in need of a 60 by 30 extension leading out from the original cooler. Thank you. Sincerely, Jay Patel."
He's only at 6 foot on the back next door.
30 feet long.
But in adding that 6 feet, it puts him within how many feet of the property line? This sketch doesn't reveal that. I was reading off of your notes where you say that's equal 20 feet or 30.
Yes, so it'd be, he's crossing the line a total of 23 feet. He's supposed to be 40 feet off of the property line behind him, and he's requesting to come over that line by 23 feet.
There is a fence.
There is a fence with residential behind it, yes.
It is residential behind it. That's why he needs to the requirement would be 40 feet. So his drawing doesn't show his building to be only 6 feet wide.
Yes, but the 40 feet comes up.
Okay.
He's already over the 40-foot line with the existing building.
Okay.
And that property is a mess.
Well, his reason for asking is something that's that building was built 35 years ago, but that building being built 35, 40 years ago has nothing to do with his business, and it has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown, and that's the reason he's needing this. So we have a motion to approve it. Are there any other questions? Any other comments? Hearing none, I would ask for the roll to be called, please.
Higdon.
No.
Masario.
No.
Moran.
Yes.
Strout.
No.
Bass.
No.
Mayor Dawson.
No.
David Little.
I will abstain.
Abstain.
Yes. So one yes,
Motion failed.
motion failed. Under new business, we have a party that is asking for a special exemption to be made for the location of 791 East College Street. You have 2 or 3 pieces of information that has been provided to us, a letter stating what they're wanting to do from Mr. West, Mr. Alex West. You have a letter from Steve Wright. You have a letter or an email copy of a letter from Mr. Dennis Weed.
And one more, David. One
And-
more for this Bonnie West.
So have you all had an opportunity to read these, to go over them, to consider what is being asked? Now, according to our planning and zoning regs, this type of structure is allowed in this subdivision if this committee sees fit to allow it. This is totally up to us. However, citizens are calling and talking, and so I trust everyone's had opportunity to read this. If you have not, I'd like to take a few minutes for us to go over that. So when you're ready to talk about this, let's everybody indicate that they're ready to move forward with this discussion. Mr. West, may I ask you a question about the property that's in question here? I understand this is, well, it is a church building, but is the church still functioning as a church at this point in time, or have they vacated that building?
It is my understanding that it is still being used as a church building.
Okay, and the church is in favor of this?
The property has been up for sale by the property owners for probably a year or so.
Well, if you are still reading, let me make a couple of comments, if I may, that I thought about this piece of property. Where the property is located, obviously, is in the middle of a subdivision location. It is a very worthwhile project. The company that is mentioned in here, the In Slavery TN and Thistle Farms, I have some knowledge, or rather I should say my wife has some knowledge of these organizations. She has been involved not with these organizations, but with organizations such as connected with the churches that see this as a very admirable project to take on. She sees the Thistle Farms especially has been given or been said that they are very good at what they do. This is to say that the opportunity for women that have been in bondage or being enslaved into the trafficking of females in the drug situation. This is a project that is to get them out of that situation, to get them on a road where that they can be worthwhile citizens, where that they can become a part of the city that they're in, where that they can find jobs that will allow them to be self-sufficient and self-supporting and move forward with their lives. That being said, I'm going to ask Alex if he will, what he would like to say reference to Mr. Wade, Dennis Wade, who is our elected official for the county for this area down here. He has written some information to us, and what Steve Wright, and then you said there was one other one?
Miss Bonnie West.
Miss Bonnie West. Miss Bonnie is the widow of Mayor West that was the mayor here in Greenbrier a few years ago. So I think everybody probably knows who these folks are. If you don't, then each one of these that I believe I know who they are and know that they're fine citizens. So Alex, I'll ask you if you will make any comments you'd like to make at this time.
Okay. Yes, I'll just read through these real quick, just for the video. First one's from Dennis Wade. It says here, my thoughts and questions regarding the changes requested. There should never be an exception. This request to me is a request to set up zoning that would include this type of activity. Where do you draw the line if more exceptions come forward at later date? Number two is a concern that the neighbors were not provided sufficient information to know how to respond or send questions. There should be no meetings until sufficient notice given to the neighbors. I feel that no action should be taken at tonight's meeting until more information is made public to the whole community. Number three, he wanted to note, please explain what services will be provided to acclimate them back to society. How long will it take? How many residents will be housed? And please share the qualifications of the group to provide these services. And then number four was, if there is a nonprofit involved in the operation and ownership of this location, then I want to see a list of other locations and some information regarding their success at running this type of facility. That was all from Mr. Dennis Wade. Mr. Dennis Wade is speaking on kind of behalf of Rebecca Wade, Bonnie West, and Karen Hunt, who all do live around this property in question. The other letter was from 784 East College Street, which his name is Mr. Steve Wright. It says, Mr. West, I received your letter concerning the zoning change for the property located at 411 or 791, formerly 411, 791 East College Street. I know there is a need for women and others who have had trauma of one form or another in their life to get help, but I do not think that the location of the building on East College Street is the best fit. PTSD, as I understand it, can have a wide range effect on a person, and from depression to violent outburst. Because this is a residential neighborhood with children and families in the area, I think this facility would be better fitted for a more mixed-use area. Basically, in my opinion, this operation will become a type of halfway house. Because of this, I think it will have a downward effect on property values. My property is across the street from the building. Its parking lot already causes water flow problems to my property from rain runoff, so I really would like to see something else affecting my property in the future with regards to this property. Because we are a small community with limited resources, I think this will put a stress on the public safety personnel and their departments to deal with additional people who do not live or work in the community. Signed respectfully, Steve Wright, 784 East College Street. And Ms. Bonnie is going to just go off of Dennis's speaking on behalf of her. I would like to read the responses and also the original letter from the property owners because they did get an opportunity to kind of respond to some of these questions. The original letter was from Ms. Quinn Crum. It says, "My husband and I have contracted to purchase the property at 411 East College Street. We would like to use it for one of the current permitted zoning exceptions. The permitted exception we are seeking approval to utilize as a personal group care facility for mentally impaired or handicapped persons. We believe to create a group home that is to be a safe place for women who are reintegrating into society after surviving the trauma of human trafficking. Such trauma can trigger conditions such as PTSD, which is recognized as a mental impairment. It is our intentions to provide cost-effective housing for 12 women who have been a year or more removed from the world of trafficking, in addition to 2 caregivers. We understand that we must comply with all current requirements of the State Fire Marshal's Office, but due to the cost of compliance, we are seeking preliminary approval before we invest the funds it will require to obtain all the necessary permits. It is our intention to provide fully furnished rooms to each of the residents, along with a shared kitchen, living area, library, computer lab, bathrooms, and laundry facilities. The facility would be outfitted with a security system that would allow for each resident to have an individual check-in and out code. There would be no visitors permitted at the facility. We believe that the impact of the community will be minimal, as there will be a minimal traffic at the facility. We anticipate that most of the residents will not have their own transportation immediately, thus we are planning to provide transportation services. The necessity for this type of facility is growing as the blight of human trafficking is continuing to spread. We are consulting with many organizations that work in this area, including In Slavery Tennessee and Thistle Farms. It is our hope that we will be able to give the gift of renewed life to those who have been traumatized by the horrors inherent to human trafficking. We believe that we can change the trajectory of these women's lives in an impactful and positive way. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Quinn Crum." And then this one was to kind of respond to some of the questions. We are intended to provide cost-effective housing for women who have already been a year or more removed from the situation of trafficking. We are not intended to be a treatment facility. However, we do intend to further facilitate healing and growth in the following ways: providing access through hosting and or transportation to facilitated meetings such as AA, providing transportation as needed for residents to individual therapy or related medical appointments, providing access to computer facilities to allow residents to pursue greater job and educational opportunities, providing individual security codes for each resident so that all entering and exiting the building can be monitored. There will be at least 2 caregivers living on site to make sure that all rules are followed. All residents will comply with weekly drug screenings. There will be no visitors allowed on the property, and there will be no drugs or alcohol allowed on the property. Affordable housing is increasingly difficult to come by, especially for single women stricken by the stigma that can be associated with their particular experiences. Our facility will provide a full furnished, affordable option where one weekly payment will provide a place to stay, utilities, internet, food, new clean bedding, on-site laundry, access to computers, ride shares, and more. It is our hope that we will be able to partner with local organizations so that they may sponsor women, allowing the residents to save more of their income to better prepare for renting or purchasing an actual single-family home or apartment. As the setup cost associated with such a venture can be exhaustive, after speaking with In Slavery Tennessee and Thistle Farms, it is clear that the need for such transitional housing exists. For instance, affordable housing is so scarce in Nashville and surrounding areas that Thistle Farms begins attempting to procure transitional housing for their residents 1 year into the 2-year program, with the knowledge that it may not even be possible to find affordable housing within that year. After their 2-year program, Thistle Farms continues to facilitate healing and training for the following year for their graduates in order to assist their reintegration into society. We live in this neighborhood and have every reason to be sure that our residents will be productive members of our community, and we will abide by the rules. We will have a zero-tolerance policy for noncompliance. The only people who will be allowed on site other than the residents will be owners and any contractors needed for maintenance. And then the supervision of either us as the owners or the caretakers. As part of my preparation for this project, I attend a seminar at Thistle Farms learning about their program and meeting their program's graduates. These are amazing women who have endured unimaginable situations and have not just survived. With the love and compassion shown them, they have been able to thrive. They are so thankful and grateful to be treated as the beautiful human beings they are. They are so much more than their stories. They are more than what has happened to them. As a community, it is our responsibility to help them continue to thrive and grow. The better we help them, the better we help our community as a whole. Every woman that we allow to fall through the cracks in our current system becomes a drain to our community. While each woman we help becomes another contributing member to our society, we owe it to them and we owe it to ourselves. We appreciate your consideration and will happily field any questions. Sincerely, Quinn Crum. And that is all the comments that I have concerning 791 East College Street.
After hearing all of this and having opportunity to read what has been said, and by the way, thanks, Mr. Alex, we appreciate you reading that. I think we would have a motion to be made either to approve or deny, or a motion to table it for 1 month so that others could make comments if you feel like that is a necessity or a need to do. I'd like to also point out that this is not a zoning change. This is simply an authorization to use that type of facility or have that type of facility in this zoning. My understanding also, Mr. West, correct me if I'm wrong, but once they vacated that and closed that, for whatever reasons they might close it, this request would be null and void. Anyone else that would obtain that property would have to come back and ask for any kind of a zoning change or permission to use that as a multi-housing purpose. Is that correct?
Correct.
Everybody understand what we're talking about? So after your careful consideration, the floor would then be open for a motion. Make a motion to table.
Table it for a month.
To table.
Yeah, give the residents a little bit more time to react to all of this and see.
Table it for 30 days until our next scheduled meeting.
Next scheduled meeting, yes, sir.
Everybody understands what the motion is? Do we have a second?
A second?
We have a second. Got any more comments, any more questions? Because by doing this, I think we need to have a list of questions that need to be asked and answered by the proposed parties. So is there any specific question you have that Madam Mayor has a question?
One of the questions that Mr. Wade asked was, please share the qualifications of this group. And the only thing I saw in here was going to a seminar at Thistle Farms. That's not quite enough qualification, I don't think, to run an organization like this. So.
I understand what you're saying, and I agree. That's one question. Is there another question?
I'd just like to make a comment. I think that what they want to do is admirable, but I just think, would you want it in your neighborhood? Now, we really need to think about that, because I don't know if I would want something like that actually in my immediate neighborhood.
I question what the impact's gonna be on law enforcement. If these folks got PTSD and other mental problems, as they allude to in their correspondence, then there's gonna be an increased requirement for police services at that location. Having had some experience with this with quite a few halfway houses in my zone when I worked uniform for Metro for 16 years. It requires quite a bit of police time, and I hate to say it, and I understand, I feel for these ladies, but sometimes they regress into their old habits, and I don't want to see them plying their trade down Highway 41 in Greenbrier, Tennessee. That's just how I feel about it.
I agree with Ed, and I also think that we need to have a representative of the Greenbrier Police Department here so that they can explain their point of view as to why something like this should not be allowed in that neighborhood.
Okay, these comments have been heard and respected, and they will be in our minutes. We can prepare a list of questions and heard the comments to be made. So, Mr. West, is anything we need to clear for you?
Nope, good.
Okay. All that being said, call the roll, please.
Higdon.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Rosario.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Strout.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Hearing no no's, then it passes. Okay, that is all we have on the agenda for Planning and Zoning Appeals Board. We need a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Motion to adjourn. Do you hear a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Calling the room to order for the August 11th, 2020 Planning and Zoning meeting. We have no citizens here. I don't think we have any citizens' comments in writing about anything. So call the roll, please.
Bass. Here. Mayor Dawson. Here. Higdon. Love.
Yes.
Rosario.
Yes.
Moran.
Here.
Strout.
Here.
We need a motion to adopt our agenda for August 11th, 2020. Your motion to adopt.
So move.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Call the roll, please.
Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Higdon.
Here.
Love.
Here.
Rosario.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Strout.
Yes.
Hearing no no's, the agenda is approved. You have the minutes for July 14th in Planning and Zoning. You've had opportunity to go over them. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, call the roll, please. No, we need a motion, please. I'm sorry.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, call the roll, please.
Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson.
Yes.
Higdon.
Yes.
Love.
Yes.
Rosario.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Strout.
Yes.
Hearing no no's, minutes have been approved. Item 6 on our list is old business, which there is none. Item number 7 is the new business. Item A is a request for zoning of 210 West College Street from RB to RC. This is being made by Mr. Randy Doris. So that I don't give wrong direction, tell us where this property is actually located. It's behind,
Located right behind City Hall, about 3 lots down on the left.
now this property in size better fits the zoning for RC. So the floor would be open for a promotion to either accept or reject the request to be rezoned.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, I need a second.
Second.
We have a second. Are there any questions? This motion is approved to send it to the mayor and board of aldermen for a zoning change. Everybody understand? Call the roll, please.
Higdon.
Yes.
Rosario.
Yes.
Moran.
Yes.
Strout.
Yes.
Bass.
Yes.
Mayor Dawson? Yes. Lowe?
Yes. Hearing no no's, the request to send it to the mayor and board of aldermen for rezoning has been granted. B is a site plan approval for parking lot of 2532 and for Highway 2536, Highway 41 South.
This is approval of the parking lot along with both buildings, sites. Everything is included in this one project. Both buildings are going to look exactly like what they look like. The one's going to be white, painted white brick just like it is. And then the other one is, you can see what the other one is, it's pretty much completed.
But they've met everything that's required.
The construction plan, if approved, it does need to be approved contingency on construction plans being finalized. They have been reviewed once, but they do have some corrections as far as construction of this drop of the parking lot goes. So it would need to be approved with that contingency, but I look for it to be done by the end of this week, or next week.
So they haven't addressed OHM's comments yet?
They have, but they have not sent them actually back in with corrections yet, but they have pretty much addressed them.
Your understanding what Mr. Alex has said is that we would make this proposal to approve based upon them completing their construction projects and getting that back to him for his approval. Did I say it right, Alex?
Yes.
Need a motion.
Move for approval.
Motion has been made. Need a second.
I've got a question.
Let's get a second, then we'll have a question.
A second.
We have a second. Now it's time for questions.
Alex, has there been any type of traffic study done? Because that Swift Street there that's going to probably empty out into is really not a very big street. And I don't know about the traffic of people coming and going there on that particular stretch of road. I know that stretch isn't very long.
Well, I consulted with the OHM, Brian, our city engineer, and we felt as though that just the size of it, also having the entrance from the highway, which is probably primarily what everybody's going to use, and then they will be having to exit out on Swift, but we felt that would be better dumping out on Swift and then going down and people being able to use the red light. So we didn't see the need for it right now with this size. I'd also like to make mention that in this site plan, one of those handicap spots is actually going to be moved over in front of the building to the north. And so they're going to gain one extra parking spot there. And their parking number was a little off. So with the number of parking that they have here, they're only going to be allowed 60 seats in that building. Right. So that needs to be made mention, you know, that the approval is for 60 seats, because our zoning requirements is one parking spot for every 3 seats. So they would only have enough for 60 in the Greenbrier Pizza and Pub.
Okay, so the traffic on Swift Street has been addressed or looked at least,
It has been looked at by the city engineer. Yes.
and there's not any problem as far as the engineer is concerned?
No.
Okay.
Alex, can you explain the comment in reference to, you just mentioned the capacity of 60, but then shortly thereafter that it says the building plans will have an overall max capacity set at 99 people. So can you explain that to us, exactly what that means?
This just means that the building can actually physically hold 99 people. But when I go down there to do my final inspection, there will only need to be 60 actual seats in there at all times. So they could have 60 people in there and they could have 10 or 15, you know, waiting for to-go orders or whatever. The building can hold more than what this allows, but they're only going to be able to allow it to have 60 actual seats in the building.
So what about for live music and entertainment, if they have a packed house and they've got standing room only? Max capacity would be 99?
Max capacity would be 99.
But at the end of the day, that is the end-all, be-all final number. That would be allowed by the fire marshal.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is 40 spaces gonna be enough to handle that? Where are they gonna put all the cars? Is it gonna be kinda like across the street where they park in the McDonald's lot?
I mean, per our zoning ordinance, that's all we require. So, if it's something we feel as though it needs to be looked at, then that would be something we would need to change for the
You
future.
might need to look at that.
It is in line with a lot of the cities around us, I will say that. I have reached out and a lot of theirs is the same one parking spot for every 3 seats. So, I mean, it's not too far out of line.
Are there any other questions? Any other concerns? We have a motion to approve, subject to them getting their final construction plans approved by Mr. Alex. So, hearing no other questions, call the roll, please.
Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout,
Yes?
Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love.
Yes. Hearing the noes, with site plan for the parking lot has been approved. Item C on our agenda is the renewal for Cars Creek Phase 2. The developers have put up a bond to make sure that everything construction-wise was completed in Cars Creek. That has not been done to date. The bond that they have in place currently is $91,281.01. That is an estimated cost to finish the project that is ongoing. It has been recommended by Mr. Alex, our city planner. It has been reviewed by the Klober engineering firm and has sent that request to us. We have a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion to approve, second. We have a second. Are there any questions about what this bond is for? And it is intact now. We're going to extend it for 1 year, correct, Alex?
For 1 year at $91,281.01. Glober Engineering did not do it.
not.
OHM.
The one that prepared this.
OHM reviewed it, and that was they prepared that last year. The project is very close to finishing, as far as the houses go, but they still have some infrastructure stuff, roads, little bit of sidewalk stuff, so we felt as though it was just necessary to just keep it the same that it is for 1 more year.
Can you repeat the dollar amount?
$91,281.01.
Which should be more than enough to finish the project. But that's what the bonds are set for. Everybody understand? Any more questions? Call the roll.
Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love,
Yes.
Masario,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout.
Yes?
That completes everything on our agenda tonight.
No, it
But
doesn't.
One more item.
B.
oh, I'm sorry. My eyeballs can't see straight, I think. I'm sorry, D. We want to amend the request of accessory structure to Highway 2341, Highway 41 South. I apologize to everyone for glancing over that. Alex, is there anything you need to address?
This was a request that you guys heard last month concerning an accessory structure that was brought in at this location. It is a pre-built building. It was set on behind the building. I went down there and told the owner that it was denied, and he has requested that he would, I also told him that it is currently on railroad property. He has requested that he move it beside the in between the building he has and the building to the right of him. She's on a corner property, so he would put it in between those 2 buildings. He's also looking at repainting the building to a color that would kind of match that, a gray or a brownish, tannish color. So that was his amended request was to move it there, get the permit, and do, everything that way.
If he should move it and set it up close to his building, will it fit within the setback lines?
I would have to go down there. I'd go down there and make sure that it was set within, and if there was any question, I would require him to get a surveyor to verify that it is within the, but off the top of my head, I think it's very small. The setback for that zoning district is not, being that he abuts commercial too, so he doesn't abut residential property.
Make sure I'm understanding what we're asking for. He's asking for a request to place the, brand new request to place the building on his property, sitting adjacent to or next to the existing building.
Yes.
Okay, and my question is then, does it meet all the setbacks, or do we believe that it meets all the setbacks? Or that's something that you've got to go review?
Yeah, I will go review it. I believe it fits it, but I would go review it. His location, I would review his location before it was moved and set in that place. And if there was any question, I would require a surveyor to come out there and verify that it does meet those requirements.
You've heard Mr. Allen's statements and questions. Are there any other questions about the?
Is there a reason why we don't have a site plan or something to show us?
He just didn't provide it. He didn't provide it.
Makes it kind of hard to approve without us being able to see something. And then also, if he's putting it within his setbacks, then why are we, like Mr. Love said, why are we, reviewing it at this point?
We had, the rule that was passed years ago was anything commercial related. If they want to add any structure, it has to come before the planning commission's approval before I can issue a permit to them. So that is why he has come before you.
Okay.
And he's an auto mechanic too, so I doubt seriously he knows anything about site plans.
What is the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve conditional loan review by Mr. Alex.
Motion has been made to approve him placing the structure on his property adjacent to his building, and that will be inspected and approved based upon it fitting all zoning requirements for that commercial piece of property. That being said correctly,
Succinct.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I second that.
We have a second. Any more questions? Can we require him to paint it?
You guys have the full,
In the motion, that should be painted, Mr. Chairman.
you guys have the full jurisdiction to require anything that's in our design review manual.
To match his building? Off-white? Man, I don't remember that building, two colors. Three colors?
Yes. And he plans on painting it a brownish tannish color is what he told me. He plans on painting the building a brownish tannish color.
We would request that he paint his building and the accessory building all to match.
You very well could.
Is that what you're saying? In your motion?
Consider amended to that verbiage.
Ms. Secretary, you got this? Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Any more questions? Call the roll, please.
Massaria,
Yes.
Moran,
Yes.
Strout,
Yes?
Bass,
Yes.
Mayor Dawson,
Yes.
Higdon,
Yes.
Love.
Yes. Hearing no no's, motion passes. Now, before we adjourn, Madam Mayor, I would like to thank you for the opportunity of serving on this board under your leadership as mayor of Greenbrier. I'd like to wish you well at whatever path the good Lord takes you from this point in the future. But it has been a pleasure to serve under your leadership.
Thank you. I had planned to say, looking around this room, I think I'm right that I appointed every person that's here, so I think I did.
We serve at your pleasure.
Well, it has been a pleasure. I've been on this board 16 years. Mayor West appointed me to planning and zoning a year before I became an alderman, so then I served as a part from the board for the 9 years I was an alderman, and then the 6 years of the mayorship. So it's had its ups and downs, but it's been interesting. So,
Well, we thank you for your leadership of the city.
no, thank you.
Wish you well.
Thank you.
Any comments from the rest of the board? Need a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? Motion has been made and second to adjourn. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Have a good evening.